The second Tripartite Judicial Dialogue between the Continental and Regional Courts in Africa took place from 18 to 20 September in Arusha, the United Republic of Tanzania. This dialogue aimed to deepen collaboration and cooperation between the African Court on Human and People's Rights, the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice, and the East African Court of Justice. Discussions centered on 4 key areas. 1. The right to education, in line with the 2024 theme for African Union. 2. Human rights and environmental protection. 3. Review of progress on resolutions from the first Tripartite Judicial Dialogue. And 4. Financing for international courts. Each topic was thoroughly examined through expert presentations, interactive plenaries, and roundtable discussions.
Being together as the 3 courts, it makes sense. The African Court, that's the Continental Court, but the ECOWAS Court, that's the court on Western African countries, and the East African Court of Justice is within the East African community. Now we have grown from 3 partner states to 8, so it makes sense that we come together.
Déjà, pour planter le décor, il faut se rappeler que
we are here to set up a framework where we, the 3 different courts, the African Court, the East African Court of Justice, and the ECOWAS Court of Justice could work together. When we set up this framework, we'll be able to identify the problems we face, and together we could work towards a solution, common solution for all these problems.
Ceci étant, je pense que la première question est très pertinente.
In Zanzibar, we met, we discussed, we identified our difficulties, and it was necessary for us to meet again to be able to see how far we have gone, what have we achieved, what are the stumbling blocks, and to be able to find the way forward. If it were just to end at the meeting in Zanzibar, I would have called it a meeting and not a dialogue. But if it is a dialogue, then there is room for continuity.
The dialogue is an important part because it allows judges from 3 courts in the region to come together, share experiences, and discuss solutions to issues when it comes to the implementation of decisions from their courts, and also discuss topical human rights issues.
The first judicial dialogue that took place 2 years ago actually set the stage for more cooperation and dialogue between the continental judicial bodies, the regional ones, and the UN Human Rights Treaty bodies. And the second one is actually building on some of the resolutions of the first one, which is to enhance cooperation and partnership, exchange of information and the jurisprudence between the continental, the community courts, and the UN treaty bodies.
The seed that we planted in 2022 in Zanzibar, something is really coming out of it. And we have just heard very constructive proposals and recommendations by the courts on how to enhance and even deepen the cooperation between the courts for the sake of creating a stronger mechanism on the continent for the protection of human rights.
But for all human development, socio-economic development, we always need a strong judicial institutions and also strong foundation for the rule of law and access to justice. So every country we operate, we support, we work with wide range of stakeholders to uphold the rule of law, strengthen the capacity of not only judicial institutions but all related stakeholders, including civil society, so that people can enjoy and feel secure that they always have access to the rule of law and they understand how those systems work, so that not only they are to be served, but also they become a very important partner.
we are now looking at having more engagement with the UN bodies, including the UN treaty bodies, with whom we can work and share experiences with them. And at this second judicial dialogue, there was talk of engaging with the public through sensitization, education, and have meaningful discussion and engagement with member states to make them know that the primary responsibility for the promotion and protection of human rights lies with member states.
The political will within the East African community, it is there. So you can see from 2001, when the court was, when the treaty, when the court started really doing its business, up to now, we are not complaining. That's one. It's relating to political will.
We all seem to be facing the same problem. One of the problems that has been highlighted is the low budget that is allocated to the courts. And the other one is the challenges with regard to the limitations of who can actually fund our courts.
As part of our recommendation, we think that we should engage more member states so that we will have the political will and the political support, because without the political support, we cannot go far. The judgment of our courts could not be executed.
Et l'une quelconque de nos cours
So it is my hope that through this dialogue, we'll be able to find lasting solutions, not just solutions, but sustainable solutions to all these problems which all these three courts face. But this will require the involvement of the judges, it will involve the engagement of the staff who work with us, and it will also need the involvement of policymakers. That way, I hope that we'll be able to find common ground where we'll be able to face the solutions of our continent.
Ce que j'ai écouté aussi, j'ai vu qu'il y a des hommes et des femmes qui sont passionnés pour la justice.
When we look at what we have done here, it prepares us for our future activities, because when we go back to our respective countries, we'll be able to implement the lessons which we have learned from this judicial dialogue.
The human rights and the environment has been one topic in focus, which I think globally is receiving a lot of attention nowadays, but where on the African continent, actually initiatives to deal with the right to a satisfactory environment were taken very early on, already in the early 1980s, in the form of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. And in Africa also several cases have been decided at the regional level when it comes to human rights and environment.
RWI is supporting this second Tripartite Judicial Dialogue of Continental and Regional Courts in Africa. And this is supported under our Regional Africa program that looks to support implementation of decisions, judgments coming from this Continental and Regional Courts in Africa. The program started in this year in 2024, and we expect it to run until 2027. This program is financially supported by the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, SIDA. But the second Tripartite Judicial Dialogue was also supported by other partners, including the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung Rule of Law program, the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, and the United Nations Development Program. So we'd like to thank all the partners and everyone who came together to make this event a success.